Welcome back to the garden, guys. We are out here seeing what has survived the heat wave and what went crazy after all of the rain that got dumped on Chicago after the heat wave tried to fry us like an air fryer. These are peas. Um, they got a little bit out of control. I'm really kind of surprised they survived because they are a cold weather crop. But since they did survive, let's save them. So this is my tomato bed right next to it. I don't think that the tomatoes will be tall enough to run into the peas by the time the peas perish. You see that? I love when pollinators come to my garden. And there's so much bug activity out here. But what we're here to do today is get the peas in order. So it's time to harvest these. These pods are ready to pick them off. But I also need to extend the trellis because this is not supported. This is supported, but I think I need to build something a little taller. Maybe just a little taller than that. Next time, I'm going to plant the peas inside of the greenhouse and let them trellis over here. Roly polies. So what you'll see me using here once I get into the garden is a cotton twine. If you are in a hardware store, you can get this for about $4 or $5. If you are in like a Ross or something like that, it's going to be called cooking twine, a grocery store butcher's twine. And it just comes whether it's a little thicker or thinner. You should never pay more than like $7 for a roll of this stuff, and it's gonna be a pretty sizable roll. I want to say this one is maybe 100 yards, and I haven't run out, and I've been using it since last season. So the structure that I have already built here is a couple of old frames from some greenhouses of gardens past. I just took some of the pieces and put them together in sort of a three-legged dome shape, and then I wrapped the twine around the circumference of that. And so all I'm doing is just tying a piece of that cotton twine to the bottom and stringing it up to the top of the T-post that I have here. This is the best way to trellis peas for me because I am already using my chain link fence to trellis cucumbers and have hanging pots for strawberries. So I don't have any more upward space to put these guys. So I'm essentially just making sure that they can stay off of the ground, stay dry, keep free from any pests, and not blow away in the wind. Peas, much like cucumbers, have tendrils, and it will reach out and wrap around things to continually support itself. So I'm trying to make sure that I have enough lines on each side for any pea that's reaching with its tendrils to be able to touch something. Just so it stops wrapping around each other, it will like wrap around the stalk of itself or another piece of pea or an entirely different pea plant and essentially choke it out if it can't find anything else to wrap around. So it's important to get your supports up and make sure that they are of even spacing and to actually come out and check on your plant and kind of see where it needs support, what direction it's climbing in, if it's moving towards the sun. Those are all important factors. And just kind of make sure that your lines are not becoming slack. Just because it depends on the type of knots that you're going to use. If you're going to use a knot that allows you to adjust and slide, you may have to tighten that knot from time to time. Cotton twine is a twine that gets wet and absorbs moisture, but it does still dry very quickly, which is why I like to use it. I also like to use it better than the rope twine or any of the jute twines, just because it's a bit of a softer material and it's softer on my hands, so I don't have to use gloves when I use it and worry about roughing up my hands. So now that I've gone through and detangled the peas from themselves, I have a little teepee here, and I am going to go through and harvest the peas, because when you don't harvest from your plant, it signals to the plant that it doesn't need to produce anymore. And usually around July is when the peas start dying, because as cold weather crops, the sun is too much for them, the heat is too much for them. But I have this planted underneath a tree this year, so it's been getting plenty of shade. So while it's still producing, I want to make sure that it's getting the signal that yes, I would like some more pea pods, I would like some more plants. Most people would just come out here and pick them off by hand. I am using a pair of gardening shears or pruners just to snip them off, because I just trellised them to this rope and their tendrils have not strongly attached, so I don't want to do any yanking on this plant. Now, harvesting is different than pruning. Pruning would be the process when I would go through and get all of those yellow leaves that you see on the bottom. That would take care of any leaves that are not producing any chlorophyll for the plant to feed off of. I'm looking at the different variations of stages that they are developing at, and I am choosing all of the ones that are currently ripe and any ones that are overripe, because they're not going to do any good to stay on the plant. Might as well just go ahead and take them off. So while I show y'all the difference between the ripe ones and the overripe ones, I just want to impress upon everyone that it is time to start your fall gardens. If you want to have any crops to harvest before the last frost, if you're here with me in Zone 5B in Chicago and the surrounding area, we need to start planting our fall gardens now. I'm planting another round of peas. I'm getting some brassicas out. I'm making sure that I have all of my lettuces and things. I know there's something going around with the lettuces are causing explosive diarrhea. We knew that when they got rid of the FDA. So we're going to be planting our own food, right? Click on the link in the description to start a garden consultation with me. That way I can advise you on how to start your garden.